My dear guests, I am Mr. Rourke, your host. Welcome to Fantasy Island.
Hello, everyone. My name is Charles K. Davis. I want to welcome you to my channel. This video is going to be about why Filipinas don't like for expats to be nice to them. I hope you enjoyed that intro because being here on the Philippines is like being on Fantasy Island, and that is no joke. So, as we can see, my name is Charles K. Davis, and I want to talk to you about why Filipinos don't like for you to be nice to them. I saw this video on Smart Girl Philippines, and this reminded me of the same topic, the same problem we have in the U.S. And I'm going to share a story I heard from a woman in the U.S. and what I'm seeing in my experience here. I was working at a facility as a security guard, and I worked with a lot of women on the night shift. So they'd have these discussions. There was an older woman there, and she shared this story, and I listened real intently. She said when she was young, she was out there having a lot of fun, doing her thing, drinking, getting high, sleeping around, and she had two sons. And then as she got up in age, she realized she was going to have to raise them two boys and she needed to get married. And she looked around at the guys that were in her peer group, and none of them were marriage material. Even though they were sleeping material, they were not marriage material. And she shared this. She said there was this guy in her neighborhood who had been asking her out for a date all this time, and she'd been telling him no. And so she went out on a date with him, and she liked it so much, she said, I can work with this. She ended up marrying him. And my question was, why didn't you give him a chance in the first place? You see what I'm saying? It was only till she was beaten and used and realized she needed a partner to raise the boys and to continue in life did she decide to settle down. And this was a nice guy. And we're seeing this in the women population globally, not just only here in the Philippines. Why do women don't like nice guys? What I have discovered is their self-worth is low. In the Bible, it says that God told Eve, do not touch the tree of life. And she went and did it anyway. And then she came back with a lot of shame and guilt and she seduced Adam. There's a lot in that story, a whole lot. And so, what I've discovered here in the Philippines, there are several factors going on here. One of the things that I have found is that there's a thing called they're stunted. 40% of the Filipino population is stunted. What is stunted? I noticed that their body weight is low. They're small. Some of them are actually look anorexic. They call them thin, but when you see them, they're really skin and bone. But then the other part of this is when you're undernourished, your mental development is low. Some of these women are are just plain slow. That's the only way I can put it. It's like something's missing. Something is missing mentally, and unless they've been outside the country and been exposed to real life off of this island, there's some conversations they just don't comprehend. They just don't. They just don't comprehend that the life they're living is behind what's outside world. And their only exposure to life off of this island is on social media, which is a false representation. To them, they think the outside world is fabulous. They see the cars, they see the houses, and they say they want that, but they don't realize those things come with a cost. The cost of responsibility. You're being anchored into a system that will take you to your 62 or 65, and you'll be indebted to that system to the day you die. They don't recognize that. I'm going to use a phrase here. It's going to be somewhat touchy. We used to say you can take a person out of the ghetto, but you can't take the ghetto out of the person. That's what we're seeing here. This environment is so poverty laden And I use that word cautiously because what we consider poverty is actually normal to them. We come here from our first world and we know the reality of the first world, and we see this environment here. As a matter of fact, this is almost like stepping back in time. These people are brainwashed, literally. The information that they get comes from the outside world, and they have nothing to compare it against. They consider the outside world a fantasy. That they have the illusion of what that world is like. They do not have the reality. And when they get faced with the reality, it causes them a little trauma. I've seen some videos where they break down and cry when they see the world outside of here. And then they look back at the conditions in this country and it causes them some trauma. The last experience that I have, because I said I was going to go into deeper topics, I experienced that when I came into recovery. When I was came into recovery, I received a lot of help, and it felt odd. It felt real uncomfortable. I had people in recovery helping me with furniture, helping me with rides, and it was like it felt really, really uncomfortable because I didn't. It was had to do with my self worth and my self esteem. I did not think I was worthy of it, and it took me a long time to get over that feeling and get to the point to understand that I am worthy. People helped me because they were being nice. And I learned that to build respect and trust, you start helping these Filipinos and they'll take advantage of you if you're not careful. So I'm real selective about how I help people and what I do for people. As a matter of fact, at this point, I'm fixing to pull back because I've asked for some help from people about finding another Filipina as far as a suitable companion, and I've got no help from anyone. I've even offered a bounty for it, and no one has taken up on it. And I talked to my personal assistant about it, and she said, ain't none of them out there worth it. Click like and click share. I hope you're enjoying this content. Leave a comment below what you think about this. My name is Charles Davis. Thank you for watching.